screening. So you want to go and you want to get the tests. There are a lot of different organizations here in New Jersey that will test you for free. And depending on your age, your demographic, you don't have to pay anything for the testing. So be mindful of your body, be mindful of any symptoms that you may have, be mindful of your family's history, and go and get tested for all types of cancers, whatever your symptoms are. Tonight, my guests are amazing women. They are survivors of various stages of breast cancer, and they are advocates. So I am going to introduce my first guest, Miss Nancy Aleman. She is awesome. She is a director of community outreach in Hoboken Family Inc., and she's an advocate for cancer awareness, specifically breast cancer as a survivor. So she's going to join us and she's going to give you her story. She's also going to give you some tips and information on how you too can get screened early. All right. So I'm going to bring Nancy in. Nancy, good evening. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Happy to be with you.
I'm glad you're here. Again, you know, you are a survivor and blessings to you. You have an awesome, amazing story. I just want you to share, you know, what you will with the folks because, you know, we're all moms and we're busy and we're doing lots of stuff. But, you know, with COVID, people started to actually think more about self-care. So it's important, not just in the pandemic, it's important as a, you know, regular routine. So if you would share with us your story from the beginning and just you're beautiful here as a survivor. So it's a blessing.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to share because I really believe that when you share your story, you can really reach people easier than just to spit off a whole bunch of statistics and risks and prevention that you hear all over the place. But when it's personal, it really hits people and it really makes them listen and act, because that's the most important thing. It's not only to listen, but to act. So I was actually diagnosed 14 years ago. I lived in Caracas, Venezuela. I was a successful businesswoman, even being an American. I had ran my own company. I had over 30 employees. I was always very healthy, always worked out, went to the gym, stayed in shape, very mindful about what I ate. And there was never any history of cancer of any type whatsoever in my family tree. So I went for a mammography at the age of 52. Actually, I was 51 at that time. Results came back okay. 8 months later, I wake up, I look in the mirror, and I can't see my nipple. It was gone, totally gone. So obviously, I knew that I had a very serious problem. I immediately called a local doctor, a local breast gynecologist, actually, and they started the test on me. I called at the same time simultaneously. I called Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York. They were not able to even book an appointment for me for at least 3 weeks. So I knew that I had to stay in Caracas, whatever. I was very fortunate that at that time, and I'm sure it's still true, Venezuela, it was kind of like still the old-fashioned kind of doctor caring. I had all of my doctor's cell phone numbers, believe it or not. They ran a battery of tests. The first thing that they were most concerned about was, since the tumor was so big, it was an 11 centimeter tumor, which was diagnosed as stage 3B. In breast cancer, the stages are stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 3B, and then stage 4, which is a metastasis. So the first thing they did was they injected me with a dye, and they gave me a screening through my whole body just to see if the cancer had spread all over my body. Mm-hmm. You can imagine the shock that I was in, that I was going through all of this. It was just unbelievable. I went through a whole battery of tests for at least a week, just day after day, going in, getting different types of tests, biopsies, et cetera, et cetera. I got my diagnosis. I really call it an international cancer, breast cancer, because my oncologist worked with a doctor that he met every year in San Antonio. They have these very famous breast conferences, and he met a doctor that came from the Milan School of Breast Cancer, which is a very famous school in Milan, Italy. So this doctor became my surgeon at Memorial Sloan Kettering. So they actually discussed my treatment between Caracas and New York. So I got my four chemos in Caracas. Thank God they worked, because chemos do not always work for everybody. It doesn't always shrink a tumor, or your reaction is so bad that you can't continue, you can't take it. So I was very fortunate that the tumor shrunk. I flew to New York. I flew to Memorial Sloan Kettering. I had a modified radical mastectomy, which basically means that they removed my breast. They had to remove 40 lymph nodes. So I scheduled my follow-up treatment with my surgeon. And the biggest shock was when he said to me, I want you to go back and see the oncologist. Oncologists are very straightforward people. When I first met her, the first thing she said to me was, you are high risk. You are high risk. And I could not assimilate what she meant. It was just incredible. So I went back. They gave me an additional 7 chemotherapies, reacted well to them also. And then one of the reasons why my tumor grew so quickly is because I'm called HER2. I don't know if you've heard of that term before. So HER2.
I heard it on the commercials. That's not going to be honest with you.
Okay. So basically, it's kind of like, you know how your body produces cholesterol, why some people have high cholesterol?
Right.
Well, it's the same sort of idea as far as the breast cancer is concerned.
Okay.
My body produces a substance that causes these tumors to grow very aggressively. So Herceptin was actually developed from the funds from the American Cancer Society Research and Development. And I call it my miracle drug.
Okay.
So they put me on a drip every week for 6 months, and then every 3 weeks to complete a year.
Okay.
There are side effects to it. I remember when I went for a test at Memorial, it can cause heart failure. There was this other lady there getting the same test for her heart, and she had actually gotten heart failure from this drug. So I'm very fortunate that I did not have that happen to me. So once they finished with that treatment I got between New York and Caracas, then I was in Caracas. I came back and I decided to do my radiation in New Jersey because I believe that the equipment was more up to date, technologically. So I was the only patient that was radiated in 3 different places. That's really what did me in as far as being really tired and really set me back more than the chemos, actually.
Okay.
And then I developed a condition that nobody told me about, which there is no cure. I know they're working on it. Something called lymphedema.
Okay. Yeah.
Lymphedema sucks.
It does. I have a relative with lymphedema.
Yeah, it's basic. I'm lucky. Mine is under control now after being hospitalized 8 times with infections.
Wow.
Yeah. So now they were actually going to put me on antibiotics for life. I said, no, that's not going to happen. So fortunately, now I have it under control. It's not that bad. So that was 14 years ago.
Well, blessings to you. That's an amazing story. And now you have an outreach that you do as the director of the Hoboken Family Center, yes?
Yes. So it's really kind of like full circle. When I came back to the United States, obviously, going through an experience like this totally changes your mindset. So I moved back to be close to my family, and I got a job in Hoboken, and I am the director of community outreach for a nonprofit, and we are the SEED grantee for 2 counties in New Jersey. SEED means cancer education and early detection. And for those that are uninsured or underinsured, we can provide free cervical, breast, prostate, and colorectal screenings and diagnostics.
Speaking of colorectal, I know you were just on with Congressman Payne, right? His father succumbed to colorectal cancer. He's a big advocate also of screening and a big supporter of the the New Jersey seed. So that's a good thing. I'm gonna bring in council president Patricia Perkins-Auguste so that she can give her story, and then I'll have us all come back together so that we can talk about what we're doing going forward. Okay. I appreciate you letting everybody know your story. It's an amazing story.
Thank you.
And you look great. So just bear with us. I'm going to bring in Council President Perkins-Auguste, and we'll be right back. So my next guest is Council President. She's been in council, I don't know, 30 years. And through all of that, she is a survivor of breast cancer. You wouldn't know when she was ill because she kept going and going and going and doing for her community. And so I am proud to say that she was one of my mentors in the political realm. But she's here this evening just to tell her story, and so that we can be grateful that she's here. And then we'll talk more about her activities as an advocate as well. So I'm going to welcome Council President, Ms. Pat. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Rashana, this is so important, and I thank you for always being about telling stories to communities, to let people know just what is really going on. As you stated, you're the truth teller. So I am truly delighted to be a part of this webcast. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. If somebody calls it a podcast, I call it a
podcast.
Okay. So my goal, like you said, is just to bring the information, right?
Right.
In COVID, we would have had a community meeting this week, but COVID, got me on the internet. So I'm okay with it. And folks will watch it at their leisure and then, get from it what they need, which is important information.
Right.
Yeah, because your story is amazing, just like Nancy's.
Okay. I cannot even begin to bring any more insight into this whole thing of cancer and breast cancer based on our previous guest. Her story is truly miraculous in terms of what she went through, but there are different stages of all types of cancers, whether you're in the fourth stage, third stage, second stage, first stage, or even the beginning stage. And in 2011, I was at the beginning stage. My doctor said I just caught it just in time. And so that happened in September of 2011. Then I had a lymphedema, and that's just moving the cancerous cells from the breast. And then I went into radiation treatment in February of 2012. At the same time, starting another election cycle. So it was very challenging to go through the radiation campaign and not let anyone know. And as you know, in politics, information is wealth. And so when people know something about you, you know how they exploit it, do whatever. So it was definitely a God carrying time. That's when God carried me through that election process, and going through 25 bouts of radiation.
Okay.
And so everything was fine. I opted not to get on any type of hormonal treatment back then because my doctor, my surgeon, she assured me that everything was fine. You didn't need the hormonal treatment. She didn't even offer it. So after 5 years of being cancer-free, my case basically was closed. But lo and behold, 2 years ago in 2019, the cancer reoccurred.
Wow.
But at this time, my oncologist, she was killed in a car accident.
Ooh.
So I walking her dog one morning, and so I did not have an oncologist. I did not have my records because, of course, her office closed, and it was just like, what is going on now? So I went to another oncologist who I didn't feel she really understood my entire situation. But in any event, I went with her, and she did another lumpectomy. I
Mhm.
encouraged her to do the lumpectomy. She was like, "Oh no, let's not do that." I said, "Yeah, we're gonna do the lumpectomy, and then I'm going to be placing myself on the hormone pills."
Okay.
All of that happened like maybe 4 months before COVID.
Mhm.
And actually, in February of 2020, I actually had to do another check for my lymph nodes.
Right.
So I was on February 7th, actually February 6th, 2020. I went to JFK, had to do same day surgery, checked on my lymph nodes. On that next day, on the Saturday, February 7th, 2020, there was a big event that myself and other political women were throwing because of the women's suffrage movement as it pertains to voting rights in America.
Mhm.
So we were starting the whole year off about having events. And so I said, let's have it February 7th. So I was adamant about having it February 7th.
Mhm.
So we had this big event. And then 1 month after that, everything shut down.
Yeah. This is the event we all wore white, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Right.
So at that point, you understand. So the day before that, I had to go and have same day surgery to check
Yeah.
my lymph nodes to make sure that they were not compromised. And of
Mhm.
course, they wasn't. Thank God. So I have all my lymph nodes still around. So and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And COVID hit literally a month after that. And so, but in that time, my oncologist said, okay, you are now cleared to be on the hormonal treatment. And that's what I'm on now.
Okay.
I'm still cancer free, thank
Thank
God.
you. Mhm.
I just had my last mammogram. And yes, early detection is key.
And something else too, and you said it, and Nancy said it. So you have to be your own best advocate, right? Nancy said
Yes,
she got her radiation in New Jersey because she felt that they had the most up-to-date equipment. You said you insisted on a certain procedure where the doctor wasn't really like kind of going to go that way.
that's correct.
So we have to be our own best advocate.
Basically, we own our bodies. Our bodies
Mhm.
are ours. So if we don't understand that, you know your body better than anybody else. So you know
Mhm.
when something's wrong. You know when something right. There's something inside would say, I don't like that. Let's do something different. You need to follow those umptions and gumptions that you feel in your gut as it pertains to your health,
I
because at
agree.
the end of the day, doctors diagnose and they treat,
Mhm.
but you really know yourself. You
Right.
really know who you are. And then if you are a believer, then God will put something in your spirit to say, don't go that way, do it that way. And you need to follow all of that.
Right.
Whether you meditate, whether whatever you do to get
Right.
in touch with self,
Right.
you need to be in touch with self so that you can understand what's going on with your body.
Think about it.
So no, so yeah, so now I'm a true advocate
Mhm.
for, and it's funny. I used to advocate all the time with the breast cancer awareness organization through Central Jersey,
Mhm.
and so I used to work with women all the time for years
Mhm.
about self help, getting yourself together and doing breast cancer survivors programs, the
Right.
whole 9 yard. And then lo and behold,
Right.
but it's good to know that in the city of Elizabeth, we have so many advocates, so many organizations,
Mhm.
whether no boys allowed basketball program that is run by CC, that we call him, but Charles Hawley, he
Okay.
has a program, um, just one touch, because he's saying if the woman just touch themselves and understand their body changes, that can literally save their lives, because he lost someone close to him
Right.
through breast cancer. So he has his movement, just one touch, and so he has something going on. Walkers for Life.
Mhm.
Walkers for Life. They do cancer walks throughout the year, and
Mhm.
they're very proactive. And we know our good friend Deborah Marshall with
That's
her.
right. Yvonne McCalla Foundation.
Yes, with her foundation. So it's good that nonprofits and just everyday citizens are joining in
Mhm.
into the advocacy. because you really have to know your body, especially for women of color,
Mm-hmm.
um, women who come from different countries. They
Mm-hmm.
need to get in tune with their bodies because now you're in a different environment, and so you taking in all of these extra stressors
Right.
in your body, which can trigger, breast cancer and other forms of cancer. So I'm just, like I said, this is a great thing. I'm not a TV personality. I hate to be on TV. I hate to take pictures.
You're not on TV, you on YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. I'm sorry.
I just brought Nancy back in because you touched on something that was very, very important. The programming, so I wanted to bring her back in and,
Okay,
and talk
good.
about the
Yeah,
program because
yeah,
I used to
yeah.
do, I do too many things, my kids tell me, but I think what I do is important. So like I was a team leader for like 2 years for the American Cancer Society.
Hmm.
And then, we had our little team together and then it kind of like fizzled out. I don't know. But this to me is important just to share the information, especially early detection and screening. So Nancy,
Yeah, early detection is key. Early
mm-hmm,
detection is key, and you cannot ignore the warning signs. And that's another thing we tend to do as women. We tend to ignore the warning signs, like, oh, that's okay, that'll go away, and we still taking care of family, community, everything else, and we just fail to realize that early detection is key. Listen to your bodies,
mm-hmm,
the warning signs, and then get the best health care medically available. I love Nancy's story,
mm-hmm.
where she just like, I'm going to get the best care, whether it's radiation. Yeah, I'm going to get the best care, and that is key. That is key
Yep,
and critical, that you seek quality
right.
healthcare services and healthcare, practitioners to help you through this process.
And so when you talk about the care and the screenings, Nancy, there's a coming up a free screening, right?
Yes. So basically, when I started with Hoboken Family Planning, we are the SEED grantee, which is Cancer Education and Early Detection. So we provide free cervical, prostate, breast, and
Mm.
colorectal screenings for those that are uninsured and underinsured, regardless of immigration status. It doesn't matter. So we're the only agency that actually has this grant for two different counties, being Hudson and Union. And we actually provide almost 25% of all of the cancer screenings in the whole state. I
Okay.
like to say that we're like the mighty David, because we're a small organization, but we're out there in the community. So I had worked for Hudson County, and then the executive director asked if I would take on Union County in the midst of the pandemic
Mm-hmm,
of spreading the word. So I was like, sure. So the only what I used to do, I used to visit the food pantries.
mm-hmm.
I would go to laundromats. Since I speak Spanish,
Mm.
it's a big help, and I understand the cultures, the different cultures, because I live there, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that these women, like the councilwoman said, these women come from other countries, and it doesn't
Mhm.
only have to be South America; it could be from anywhere in the world.
That's right.
And a lot of them have never been educated about breast cancer. They know nothing about it. They're afraid for somebody to even touch their breasts, and
Mhm.
it's a big problem. So what I've done is I've kind of been adopted by the city of Plainfield, and they invite me to every single event that they have. I'm
Good.
hoping to get adopted by Elizabeth.
You will, now that I know who and where and how to get in touch with you.
That's really my next step. And so what we have is we have partnerships with different agencies. So for example, in Linden, we have a partnership with the Diagnostic Center, because one of the things that I can't understand. So for example, last month I did 2 events, because one of the great things about our organization is we actually bring our team to you.
Mm-hmm.
So we did 2 events at 2 churches in Plainfield last month. We did an event at the Calvary Church, and the Calvary Church 2 weeks ago, and then before that we did it at the United Presbyterian Church in Plainfield.
Mm-hmm.
Between the 2 churches, we screened 45 people
Nice.
and
That's nice.
provided over 70 different screenings.
Wow.
And one of my frustrations, for example, is that in Plainfield, you cannot get a mammography. There's no access to mammography screenings. So I am literally transporting these patients in my car to Linden, 4 at a time, so that they can get their mammographies done. In many cases, they could be 47, 48 years old, 50 years old, first time they've ever had a mammography.
Wow.
I can't tell you how many then calls I get from them that they've been contacted by our agency that they need follow-up. For example, diagnostics like ultrasounds, I bring them back. And this is what I've been doing in Plainfield. I really want to concentrate. I'm almost there as far as I want to put into a place to get a local OBGYN, so at least we can do the pap smears with them there. And then after I achieve that goal, then I do want to move on to Elizabeth. We do have an agreement with Trinitas,
yes,
which has now been taken over by Robert Wood Johnson's,
yes.
which leads into Rashana's point. We've signed a contract with them, with Rahway. We're actually going to be doing our first breast screening event on November 6th. Yay!
Yay! Good.
So we're going to be providing free mammographies on November 6th. You have to sign up, but yeah, did I give you that? Did I send that flyer to you?
You sent it to me, but I had a hard time trying to, because I wanted to pop it out on the screen, but my technical advisor, she's at work tonight. She's 17. But I'll definitely get her to make it pretty so I can share it on Facebook too. After.
Okay, awesome. So this is going to be like an ongoing, opportunity for those that don't have insurance in Rahway. But I really want to get into Elizabeth because I see the need. Need. We're there. We have the grant. We have the funds. We can do it.
And we will do it. We will set up, and we will, whenever your time is available, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Definitely welcome.
I just told Rashana that unfortunately, I'm on medication for life. And one of the medications I take causes you to have problems with your bones, which I'm sure you know that about. And unfortunately, I slipped and fell Sunday, and I have to have I broke my wrist, and I have to have surgery on Thursday of next week. But as soon as I'm up and about, which will be sooner rather than later, I'd love to speak with you and see how
definitely
how I can serve your community.
Well, listen, Council President Perkins-Auguste is the only woman on her governing body, believe it or not. For how many years was that? 30 years, right?
This is my 29th. In January will be my 30th. But the last 14, I have been the only female. Yes.
Yeah. And so it's important because, and I'm just going to keep it plain, women govern differently. Like our focus is different, and so even when Miss Pat was not a survivor, she was a supporter and an advocate. So whatever you need me to do, whatever I can do, Nancy, I'm still on city council here in Linden. And, we have a new health director, and, they're looking to really do a lot of things in our city as well. And you got the grant.
Yeah, because, it's funny you say that, because taking these patients to our diagnostic center in Linden, what's incredible is that I'm seeing women coming from Newark, coming from New Brunswick, but I'm like, okay, where are the women from Linden?
Nobody knows. And so that's why, Eduardo, who linked you and I together, he's a subscriber to my email. So when there's things happening, he loops me in and vice versa. So through him, I'm able to try and get a connection. I do have my email list, but it's a challenge because politics is what it is, which means if I try and do something, if it's not somebody else's idea, it doesn't go far. So I try and funnel my stuff through other folks, which is what we need to do, recreation, health department, whatever it is, because at the end, it's always important. So, it's people coming here, and the people here aren't even aware of the great services. So I appreciate you ladies immensely. God bless you both.
Thank you.
And
this
continue
is very
good health.
rewarding. Yeah, very rewarding for the communities that we serve. Yeah, and for women.
Yes, I always say that I get what I get back. You can't see it,
right?
But it's intangible. I get blessings. I get hugs. I get thanks. What can I say?
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Well, Nancy, please heal quickly because I'm looking forward to seeing you and getting things done here in the city of Elizabeth. We have a lot of women that can probably use your service.
Right.
And sometimes when you bring the service straight to their front door, they have no reason, not to do what they need to do for themselves.
Agreed. And I'm going to share our information with our health officer too, just in case she wants to piggyback, because why not? Thank you, ladies, so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Teller.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay, stay safe.
See you soon.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Okay, Miss Pat, thank you for being here.
Okay, you're welcome, girl. You see my technical difficulties.
It's okay. You got here and we had a good conversation. So
yes, very good. Yeah, I'll definitely need to. Yeah, I definitely want to bring the services to Elizabeth because I know we can definitely use it.
Yeah, because remember when Deborah had the grant, this Yvonne McCalla Foundation, they were doing screenings too.
I know.
They did one in Linden, and to Nancy's point, the folks in Linden weren't coming.
Don't even
They did the prostate cancer, and I share it as much as I possibly can. But when the politics is in the background, it makes it hard. Yeah,
sometimes the politics, cloud the issues, and the people don't get the services they need because of the politics. But health is wealth, and we always say that. So now we need to put it to practice. Okay?
That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, I will talk to you later. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, you stay well. Good to see you.
All right, good to see you too.
Bye-bye.
You heard it first here. Health is wealth from Miss Pat. Listen, if you don't have insurance, you might as well sign up for insurance, right? The marketplace is there for you. Pre-existing conditions, they won't turn you away. If you just feel your body. There's a difference. Don't think that the COVID bulge is just a little thing. You might have a hernia. Who knows, right? Just, be self-aware and take care of yourself because your family needs you. That's it for your girl, the Truth Teller. I'll be back. I'm probably going to post something post-election, but just as a reminder, if you have not voted, Election Day is Tuesday. Early voting has begun. I have a mail-in ballot, which I'm going to drop off, and I'm encouraging you to vote your interest, period, point blank. I'm not endorsing any candidates, but I know I'm going to vote for my interest. All right? And that is it. We'll see you in 2 weeks live, and you'll have a recording sometime after the election. Stay tuned.